businesses can become irrelevant, and the market has a way of compressing out the irrelevant businesses. People are always going to need a place to live, and so either they're buying houses or they're renting.
Yeah,
and so really, it's just becoming educated enough to be able to follow what the market's doing and respond to it.
Welcome to Stay Paid Real Estate Marketing. Unlock the secrets of success in the real estate world, where each episode delivers valuable tips and strategies to elevate your marketing game and help you succeed in both life and business. Brought to you by Reminder Media.
Welcome to Stay Paid Real Estate Marketing. My name is Joshua Stike, along with Luke Acree, and our guests today are Mitch and Maeli Nelson. They are successful real estate investors, having completed hundreds of fix and flips while amassing a multi-million-dollar rental portfolio, and have been documenting their investing career on their YouTube channel, Flippin with Mitch and Maeli. Maeli is a real estate agent, and Mitch is a #1 best-selling author, and they're both on a mission to help others create income and build wealth through investing. Mitch and Maeli, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we are excited. I'm excited to have you guys here because I was sharing before we got on, I do some real estate investing. We do some fix and flips and rentals and stuff. Nothing near what you guys have done. But I'm interested to dive into the topic. I really want to start off just asking you right out of the gate. It seems like everybody and their mother is getting into real estate investing. I think it's because of HGTV and everybody's thinking, oh, passive income.
So culture, man.
Yeah, correct. And so do you think it's actually a wise thing for the majority of people to get into? Is it really passive? Like, can you break down for us why you guys got into it and why you believe in the fix and flipping and are educating people on it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that the passive thing, that's tough, right? Because look, you buy a rental, you put a tenant in it, they're going to beat the place up. They're going to be calling you at 2 a.m. at some point because their kid flushed a G.I. Joe down the toilet. You know, I mean,
I feel like that's happened to you before, the G.I. Joe in the toilet. I don't know. I'm just feeling that. That's such a specific example.
Yeah. Well, you know, if it was 1975, it'd be a G.I. Joe. I think these days they flush their iPad down the toilet. Right? Look, you're with real estate investing. Here's the key, and here's how Maeli and I do it. We're at a time in our lives where we're growing, right? We're acquiring assets, we're building our portfolio. You can get it to a point where it's mostly passive. I'll tell you, fix and flip, that's not a passive thing. You're not going to be that's not mailbox money, right? You're involved. But as the reason Maeli and I do fix and flips is because we want to generate capital to be able to go out and buy rental portfolios for our retirement. And build that portfolio. And so as we get towards retirement, we're going to start, pulling back a little bit, putting property managers in place, paying off debt, paying off mortgages. And then I think it will get to a point where eventually it's kind of passive. But if you really want to build wealth in real estate, expect to have your hands in it a little bit. You're going to get dirty.
Yeah,
I think okay.
I think that's okay. Well said. Nothing truly in life that you want to do well or at a high level is going to be passive. You got to be almost obsessed over it and be all in. Yeah. I really feel like the real estate industry, maybe now they're catching up, but I really feel there's been a huge hole with residential real estate agents particularly. They don't have a retirement plan. They have no way out of the business. And real estate, unfortunately, is not like most businesses. There's not a value that you're going to sell your book of business for, 3x your EBITDA or whatever. Right. There's some transition that happens in real estate, but it's not common. And so I feel like the rental game is really, like, for real estate agents, like, that is what their retirement should be. Like, that's really what they should be building towards. Can you walk us through maybe some of the basics of where someone should start if they're in real estate and how they can get into this game, especially if they have no money? Because that's most people's objection, is they have no money. Right. So walk us through your thoughts on that.
And that's kind of the key. Like, as a real estate agent myself too, right? Like, I could totally attest by this, but it's so often, actually almost every agent I meet, and I meet hundreds of agents, time after time after time, it's, oh, I got my real estate license so that I can start real estate investing. Like, I hear that all the time, right? And then unfortunately, as we talk to them, they're no more closer to being an investor than they were when they got their license. And part of it is because to get your license, you don't learn one thing about investing, right? Yeah. Like, you don't learn anything about it. There's no education around it. And then once you go to most brokerages, unfortunately, they're kind of like, whoa, stay out of the investment world. be an agent, be a traditional
Yeah, because they want
agent,
they want you to sell houses so they can make their money, right? Makes sense.
Like, whoa, don't do your investing weird thing, right? Like wholesaling is illegal in most states as an agent, and all that kind of stuff. And so it does cause this kind of pushback between, investor versus agent kind of feeling. So my advice would be to a couple things. I have 3 advices. One would be stop caring what your broker says about that. Sorry, you are first. You have to do what's best for your family. There is only one retirement for you, which is probably real estate, right? Like that is your end game. It should be. And all deals that come across your desk, you should be very, very selfish with. Decide if it's a good investment for yourself. If it's not, pass it on, list it, right? Whatever it is. Team up with someone that can be a wholesaler and be like, oh, well, I don't want this property, but this is a good property. Maybe it's a pre-foreclosure. Maybe it's a probate. They don't want it on the open market because they don't want a bunch of people in the house looking at grandma's collectibles. And they just feel very insecure about maybe how much crap is stacked in the home. Those are great homes for investors. Run your numbers. If they don't make sense, then don't put it in the open market. You could potentially make $50,000, $60,000 on a wholesale deal, but you can't do it. Make someone else that you know do it, right? Make Josh do it. But right, I mean, that would make perfect sense. So there's a good amount of capital that you can make there. And the other thing is, you're right. You don't have to have any money to get started. In fact, my first real estate transaction I ever did, I found somebody who had a credit card, and they bought all the furniture for my short-term rental. So we paired up and did a joint venture agreement.
Wow.
And cash flowing went $4,000 a month, like right out the gate.
Wow.
So
sublease agreement too. She didn't buy the property. She just she leased the place and then.
Let me make sure I understand it. You found someone that had a property that you basically.
So in this case, it was a sublease. So I found somewhere downtown.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, where I was able to, and it was during the holiday season. And so I didn't even have to do a first month down payment. It wasn't first and last. It was just first month's rent. And so I was able to rent out, for like $1,400.
Wow,
and they
genius.
Did too. So they put on their credit card for the lease payment and for the $10,000 in rental or in furniture. And then we had a short-term rental. Like, it was so awesome. And so that was my first, obviously, deal. And we've done thousands, since like that. But honestly, too, like, if you can figure out the game of understanding people's concerns, right? Because that's what sales are. Sales in general is just solving people's problems. And so if you can solve someone's problem with maybe they're behind on their mortgage. We bought a house for $1.
That's crazy.
We bought a house for $1, and it's just understanding what's their concern. Maybe you can take over their mortgage, right? And not take over it as far as like consume their mortgage, but just start making their payments for them on time every single month to save their credit. And you would be so surprised what happens as far as like, now I get to rent this property out. Almost all of our rentals are sub 2. So we're paying the mortgage payment.
That is crazy. That is amazing. So, like, if I'm a real estate agent today, right, and I am looking at the deals that are coming across my desk, and let's say I find a deal, and I need to come up with a down payment to get that property, or I could go, I guess, the owner financing route and see if they will finance it for a very little down payment. Like, what's your advice to me? Like, where do I start to try to, like, I don't have $50,000 to put down or whatever it is, right? I don't have the money to put down. Like, what do I do? Because everybody might be listening to this. Is there a way for them to, do they go crowdsource it? Like, what's the thought process there?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, let's be honest. Any schmuck could find a house on the MLS, go get a mortgage on it, right? And throw a tenant in there. Like, that's not investing, right? Investors are creative and investors solve problems. The best way to be able to get a deal on a property is to be able to solve someone's problem, because then you're bringing value to the table that's not just money. Yeah. Right. And so
does that mean, sorry to cut you off, does that mean really you should be looking for deals in a certain like criteria? Like you had mentioned, like the foreclosures, or you had mentioned like maybe it's like absentee owners, or like it's a dilapidated or rundown house. Like that's where you would start versus the deal coming across your desk necessarily.
Look, we're in an interesting kind of market right now, right? I mean, mortgages are more expensive right now than rentals are on a monthly basis, right? That's weird.
It is.
Like, I have never seen that before. But let's think about what's happened, right? We got to think outside the box. If in 2017, 2018 to 2020, right, people were getting mortgages at 2.9, 3.9%. I mean, now that's unheard of, right? But when COVID hit, all of a sudden people got this forbearance thing, this option where they didn't have to pay their mortgages, right? And this was pushed on the banks by the government. It's not like the banks wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden people don't pay their mortgage for a year and a half. And because this was kind of something that was pushed on the banks, as soon as that lifted, they're like, all right, you owe us that money. And how many people right now can't afford to come up with that $20,000-$25,000 to catch up on those back payments on their mortgages? Those are mortgages that are going into foreclosure. And if we can find those people and present them with a different option, because right now their option is the bank's going to take your house and they're going to freaking destroy your credit, right? They're going to throw a foreclosure on there. It'll be 10 years before you can qualify for a mortgage again. If we can present a different option to them, look, instead of turning your house over to the bank, turn the title over to us. And what we'll do is we'll catch you up on that payment. What do you need? $25,000? Is that what you're behind? We'll write a check right now, right? Whether that's our money or we find a partner to come in and use their self-directed 401k or their HELOC or savings or whatever. We write that check, we send it off to the bank. Obviously, this is all on a contract, right? Now we've caught them up on their mortgage. And the part of the deal is you leave your mortgage in place. We're going to get the house, but what you're going to get is credit repair. We're going to make that payment on time every single month for you. And within a couple of years, you'll be able, your credit will be back as long as you don't screw it up in a different way, right? Your credit will be back. You'll be able to go buy a house again.
That's crazy. That's genius.
Here's what are your options? Turn your house over to the bank, credit destroyed. Turn your house over to us, credit saved.
Restored. Yeah.
Right. Which one are they going to pick, right? And now we have the title. The mortgage stays in their name. And because we're not using our credit, there's no limit to the number of properties we can do, right?
So they signed the title over to you. So technically you own the house. Mm-hmm. You're paying their mortgage. Yeah, yep. So crazy. So how do you find those deals? Like, how would a normal real estate agent or investor find them?
On the agent side, I have 5 that are on my desk right now. Like, people that are about to go in foreclosure, the first thing that they do is they call a real estate agent sometimes. And then sometimes they call off of like those ads that see on Facebook or on whatever that's like, if you're in distress, we'll buy your house fast cash. Those are the 2 options that really people have if they're in that forbearance situation. And people didn't realize this. This is what's sad too. So we're in a really unique, amazing opportunity, bad and good, because it's sad that it's happening to all these people, but amazing for investors because for the first time in so many years, I mean, really since 2008, this exists. Up until then, really pre-foreclosures and stuff just was not there, but it's exciting because for the people, unfortunately, that got put in that position, they didn't know that it was due on the front end. They thought that their payments would be due on the back end, like they were going to add more monthly payments or like extend the life of the loan. But that's not what happened at all. Like, they're front loaded all of that, and it is all due right now, which is so sad. And so it is like $20,000, $30,000. And anyway, so they are actually
that's listed. Super interesting. So the government basically created a massive problem.
Yeah.
Of letting people.
Surprise.
It literally.
The government created a problem.
I know. Yeah. Don't get me started there. I mean, it's not a political podcast, but I might go political here. No, but government literally can't run anything. But they create this massive problem. It's a huge opportunity. So now I'm understanding it. So these foreclosures are coming. Because of the situation that people cannot catch up for these loans they basically pushed off, or these mortgage payments they pushed off. Right. It's a minute detail, but I'm confused on it. How can they give you the title of their home if they have a mortgage on it? Doesn't the bank have some say? Like, that's their asset that they're banking on. Like how does that work? I don't want to get too technical, but it seems like I was
just going to say, how technical do you
Very technical, yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, that feels like the bank owns the home. They can't sign the home over to
not
you.
A car though, so that's good.
Yeah, exactly. So the bank actually doesn't own the home. I mean, if you have a mortgage, look at the title, you're on title, right? The bank holds a lien position. Now, in most mortgage contracts, I'd say probably every mortgage contract, there's a due on sale clause. Now, let's be honest here. Banks are not in the business of owning real estate. If they were, they would take their billions of dollars that they have and they'd go buy real estate, right? They're in the business of extending loans and receiving payments.
Yeah, correct.
And if we as the investors take a loan that's not in good standing and turn that around and put it into that good standing box that they want it to be in, I mean,
do you have to get the bank to sign off on the transfer of the title?
I usually don't. I usually don't even let the bank know. Right.
That is
one of the things,
amazing.
and you said don't get too technical, but I'm just going to little technical.
Well, so this is good. This is good clickbait. We can say he doesn't let the banks know. Dun dun.
Don't let them know.
I mean, right? Why make it more complicated for ourselves?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So usually what we do is we turn we have the seller title the house over into a property trust, just a simple trust. Right. That's named the address of the property.
Okay.
And then our contract with the seller is they turn the trust over to us.
Okay. How many times have you guys done this?
Dozens and dozens.
That's
dozens.
amazing.
And we've helped hundreds of students do this. So this is like what we teach.
Yeah. What a great hack.
We do it for ourselves about monthly.
Yeah.
And are you doing more flips or more rentals, or how are you?
We kind of flipped the game. So, I mean, we've done over 200 fix and flips, right? And we currently still have a few that we're wrapping up. But realistically, because of how the market shift, and I love what you said, it's always a good time to buy real estate. It's a bad time to buy real estate. But what strategy do you use? And that's the key that we bump up against all the time, is that most people have like one tool up their belt. You know, like they're like, hey, I said that again. We have a joke. I say that too often.
What's in their belt?
Yeah, tools in your belt, not up your belt. That's terrible. But but that's the key, is like, what tool should I be using right now? Like, what is the scenario that's going to solve the problem for people? And fix and flips, I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong. And you can still find phenomenal deals. And there's still people that need your help to buy cash offers and whatnot. But realistically, that's not where the real money, as far as like building growth, is finding these seller financed or subject to deals.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where it's at right now. Because, most of the time, most agents are like, oh, well, mine might have 2 or 3 rentals, right? And that's pretty common, maybe, but that's not retirement. Nobody's retiring on 3 rentals or 2 rentals. And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are going to hold you to, maxed out at 10, right? Like, that is the most amount of properties you can own in your name.
No mortgages. That's the most amount of mortgages you can have in your name. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's not retirement either. 10 properties, even if they were paid off, I mean, that'd be pretty amazing, but not very likely in your lifetime, unless you're.
Yeah, it's more for your kids if you have 10.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about the real estate market that I love. I love real estate as an investment category more than any other investment category, because it's non-compressible, right? People need food, water, and shelter. It's not going away. And if you look at it, compared to other investment categories, what happens to people who had their money tied up in Kmart stock?
Yeah.
Or Sears stock, or Kodak. Businesses can become irrelevant, and the market has a way of compressing out the irrelevant businesses. People are always going to need a place to live, and so either they're buying houses or they're renting.
Yeah,
and so really, it's just becoming educated enough to be able to follow what the market's doing and respond to it. We can't control the market, so you need to have exit strategies in place. So if the market changes while you're in the middle of a deal, that you don't get stuck, right? And it's important to have those before you get into a deal. You have to have those exit strategies in place to say, okay, if the market turns left, this is what I'm going to do. If the market turns right, here's what I'm going to do. But then also to be able to say, okay, now the market did change. Now what's my strategy? And be educated enough to have those multiple strategies that you can shift with it. Otherwise, you're investing for a year or two every 5 or 10 years, right? If you only have one strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Can I ask you, like, on these owner finance deals that you guys do, and these like creative financing solutions, most of the time, are you having to put money down? Or are you getting a really small amount down? Like,
it's so subjective.
Yeah.
So there's not, like, I just didn't know if like you're finding with owner finance, it's more of a negotiation to get the price lower. So let's say somebody wants $1 million for their property, right? And you're like, hey, I can't give you, or I can give you the $1 million, but I have to do it for this interest rate, right? So let's owner finance it so you give me a better interest rate. Or I can give you less, $800,000 for X interest rate. Like, are you using it as a way to just literally leverage the combo? You don't really, it's not because you're going, hey, this solves my down payment problem. No. It's really just to work on the deal, to make the deal what you want it to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many, it's so subjective to each property, but the cool thing about seller financing, I mean, some deals we walk in and it's just like, dude, just get me out of my mortgage. Yeah. Right? Just take it over. We walk into, $100,000, $200,000 worth of equity. We come up with a little down payment, start making their payments, and they're happy because they're out of their problem. Right. And then others where, and these tend to be the ones that aren't distressed homeowners. This is why we like working with distressed homeowners, is because we can solve a different problem and get a bigger win for us. But there are cases where people are like, look, dude, I got $250,000 worth of equity. How are we going to work this out to where I get my equity paid out, right? The beautiful thing about negotiating with a homeowner is they are your bank in a sub-2 or a seller finance process. And we take a lot of things for granted with banks, right? We don't get to pick how long we amortize the loan for. They give us two options, 15 or 30 years.
You're right? Yeah.
We don't get to pick our down payment. They tell us how much we need to bring down, or we can bring more than that, but they tell us the minimum, right? When we're working with a seller directly and they're our bank, we have 5 things, and we use the acronym BPAID, BPAID, right? We can choose the balloon payment, right? How long are you going to let us do this for? You can let us do it for 5 years. You can let us do it for 10 years. You can let us do it for 30 years. Like, how long are you going to let us do it for? P is purchase price. A lot of times that's all uneducated homeowners are focused on is what am I going to get? Well, I know your house is worth $950. You're saying you want $1 million for it. I'll give you your $1 million, but you're going to amortize it. What's important to me is cash flow. This is going to be a rental for me. So I'm going to need you to amortize that over 45 years instead of 30 so I can get the payment where I want it to be. Right. And so now I've given them their $1 million. I'm planning on holding it for 10 years. So appreciation will take care of that. Right. So if I stretch out the amortization, now I've got the payment where I needed to be. We can negotiate the interest rate. Sometimes we don't even bring up interest rate and then it's zero. But if they're savvy enough.
No way. You've gotten people to do zero interest rates?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, get out of here.
You just don't bring it up at all.
Get out. I like your strategy of not bringing it up. That is a golden nugget right there. Don't bring up the banks. Don't bring it up.
Just don't bring it up.
That's so crazy, man. I can't believe that. That's nuts. No. That's awesome. Wow.
And then the D is down payment.
So it makes it, that's a great acronym and a great way to frame it up of like, this is what I control. It gives me these negotiating levers to be able to get the deal where I need it to be, because on investing, and it makes so much sense, to you, it doesn't really, what matters to you is the return. What matters to you is the cash flow that you're getting from that asset. So, okay, if you paid 50 grand more than what someone would pay today, but you don't care if you're getting the cash flow you need and you're going to hold the asset, right? You're buying and you're holding. And it's going to appreciate 3-4% every year. Yeah. So, that's so good.
Do you guys market your business? Like, are you getting inbound leads as well? Or are you always going out and looking for the deal?
Yeah. Luckily our business kind of took a shift, I guess in so 2020, we started our YouTube channel, right? Flipping with Mitch and Maeli. And that really did kind of create that shift for us so that we're no longer like chasing after those leads. And I mean, we really do create real estate investors. Like that is what our primary objective is every single day. We are working with students. We're still doing it ourselves, but realistically, it is more of a passive scenario because we've created our brand and people are just bringing deals to us saying, hey, does this look good? Hey, does this look good? Hey, do you want to partner up with us? Because I'm terrified to do this by myself on my first one.
Yeah, brilliant.
Rightfully so. They're terrified. Well, let's come together and let's figure this out. And believe it or not, I mean,
it doesn't have to work that way.
No, it doesn't. And a lot of times people, like, we want to create a network, right? It's a community of people that there's trillions of dollars in real estate retirement, or excuse me, not real estate, but in retirement accounts.
Yes.
Most people don't know that you could buy a rental with your health savings account. Like that blows people's
401k.
Or 401k. Right. Yeah. So, and there's ways to do it where it's completely tax-free. Like, what? Are you kidding me? There totally is. So that's real growth, right? Like that's real retirement. If you could have, 10 rentals in your portfolio and it's all tax-free potentially, like, that's retirement, right? Or if you had a rental inside your health savings account, the most expensive thing that you'll ever pay for when you retire is understanding your healthcare. Like, unfortunately, that's what happens, right? Like you spend all your money going to the doctor and fixing this and fixing that. But if you had a rental that's paying you every single month, building that up, you're not being taxed on it because it's growth. You don't get taxed on growth.
Yeah.
Now your tenants are paying your healthcare.
There's so much truth. Like, we could do a whole podcast on estate trust and stuff like that. And I'm no expert by any means, but I've been through the trust and estate planning process a couple times, and it is crazy what you can do with these trusts to store away value where you won't get taxed on the growth of that value. It's pretty nuts. Now you don't own it. The people who are going to inherit your trust, or there's ways around it, but it's pretty interesting stuff. Okay, so I want to understand a little bit more of the mechanics of trying to, here's my hardest part as an investor myself, besides not knowing nearly enough, is how do you find the deal? So I'm going to explain to you what I have someone doing right now. Is I have an intern that is calling. They're looking up the multifamily because I'm specifically looking for, so this might not apply to what you guys are doing, I don't know, but 6 units, 12 units, 24 units. I would still do a single residential property, but I'm kind of trying to play in a space that's not too big that other investors are in, and the normal investors not going there. So I have these usually are owned by a registered agent that you don't know who the owner is. So we look up online who's the registered agent, which is usually an attorney or something like that. I have the intern calling the attorney to try to figure out who the owner is and are they interested in selling their property and what would they want to see out of that property. We have found a decent amount of deals that way of literally just call, but it's so time consuming and the mechanics of it are painful. But in building Reminder Media, like Josh and I know, it's like that kind of is how you build a company, like brick by brick. Most people won't pick up the phone, find the registered agent, call the attorney, find the owner. Most people won't go through those mechanics, which is why they don't get the deals.
Right.
Can you guys share with me kind of like any insight? I know you can't give me your secret sauce maybe, but any insight of like, how do I find these type of deals that you guys are doing? Like foreclosures, obviously, we could, I guess, call upon those. What's your mechanics of trying to find deals?
It's going to look different in multifamily than it is in single family residential, right? So like multifamilies, I mean, I would go back to that be paid, and the levers that we talked about. Most people are looking at purchase price. So if you want to capture more of those, because one of the biggest problems I bet you're finding, same for us, is you're not getting people's attention.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Very few are actually like, yeah, I'm interested in selling this stuff. Right.
Yeah, correct.
Most of them are, hey, don't waste my time, I'm happy. But if you throw out a purchase price that is higher than what it's worth, even just by 50 grand higher, 100 grand higher, right, on a big property, where appreciation will make up for it over the next 5 or so years, you can use those. You get their attention, like they know their property's worth $2 million, and you say, hey, I'll give you 2.2 for it, and they're like, wait, what? That's going to catch their attention. Now you can have a conversation, right? And the beautiful thing about larger multifamily, the commercial multifamily sector is pretty much all the owners are investors. They get it and they understand seller financing already. And so you can have a more open dialogue. Whereas, with the single family stuff, with the residential stuff, 1 to 4 units, homeowners don't understand what seller financing is. And if you throw it at them by using those words, seller financing, they're gonna be like, whoa, yeah, I don't know what this witchcraft is. I'm not interested in what you're selling here. So you have to really educate them, right? You have to approach it kind of through the back door, like, hey, I could probably give you a little more if you just let me buy it over time and make you payments monthly. I'd even give you, if you bring it up. I'd even give you an interest rate. You'd basically be my bank and you'd make more money. Look, let's punch it in the calculator. Look how much more money you'd make, right? Kind of thing. So you have to kind of ease them into it.
Okay.
But as far as finding the deals, I think you're doing it right for the multifamily stuff.
Yeah.
That's just the game. It's a grind.
It's just pounding the pavement. Do you find the same in residential? Because we bought a lot of residential. But like I guess I subscribed to, I don't know if it was Grant Cardone or Ryan Pineda or one of these people right out there that is like the amount of work you do for one residential, you could buy 12 units for the same amount of work.
That's true.
Right. Do you find, is it pounding the pavement for the residential too? Like one of the ways we found deals, and I'm just trying to verify this, guys, I'm getting my own consulting here. You're listening to consulting happening. Like we would buy absentee owner list and we would call the absentee owners, and basically the same concept we're doing for multifamily, we would do on absentee owner list. Have you ever done that? Like, have you guys tried generating deals that way?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that one of my early mentors told me that is absolutely true is everything works and nothing doesn't. The only thing that's not going to work is you not doing anything, right? And analysis paralysis kind of causes people to be like, there's so many ways to go out and generate. What do I do? And then they get paralyzed and like,
take action, people. Come on.
Right.
Take action.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. With residential, with single family, the best way that we've found is to find sellers that are in distress.
Yeah.
And there are free ways to do that. I mean, the first thing a bank has to do when they're going to start the foreclosure process is they have to file a notice of default. They have to present it to the borrower, and they have to file it with the county that the property is in. County records are public records. When someone files divorce.
Are there any data companies that you can buy that from? Like that whole list? I know you can go to the county, but
go to the county, get it for free.
But will they give you, is it a manual, like one by one process? Like, can I buy a list for $100?
It depends on the county.
Okay. That's what I was going to say.
Some counties have it online, right? Some counties you got to go in and open their filing cabinets.
You can tell I'm getting lazy. I'm like, can I buy it? Can I buy it?
You can.
Where do I put my credit card?
Can I just buy the list of 1,000? No. Okay. So I love that. So you can go find those at the county level, the filing for default, I guess. Is that the technical term for it, or?
Yeah.
Notice of default.
Notice of default. Okay, perfect.
But your title company can too. So just build a really good relationship with your title company. They'll just send you. I mean, I get an email at least once a week of 450.
That's a great hack. That's awesome.
Right?
Okay.
450 notice of defaults right now that I'm getting every week from my title company.
So this is awesome because if you're a residential real estate agent right now and you're thinking, I don't want to invest, and you're still with us on the podcast, we just interviewed my brother who does residential real estate. And the hardest thing right now is finding inventory. Finding listings for your people. And it's like, you probably have a ton of investors out there that are also hitting you up. It seems like, like I said, everybody and their mother wants to be an investor. So there are a lot of people looking for deals. If you just grind it out and call all those notice of defaults to try to work out deals with those people, you can bring them to your investor clients. And in this 100%. Market right now, to make it through, people are saying hang on until 2027 is what they're saying. That's what the word on the street is. I don't buy into all that hype. But I'm just saying, if you're just making it through this, holding on, servicing investors, people who have to move in this time, that's an amazing opportunity to generate inventory. My brother's team is literally just circle prospecting, trying to generate inventory. Hey, Josh, we're calling. Have you ever been interested in selling your home? What would the price be? Like, he's just trying to generate inventory. This is a great idea because it's people that are in distress.
Yeah. Yep. And then the cool part too is you can serve the masses, right? So maybe the deal doesn't work for you. And keep this in mind. This is a huge takeaway. Maybe the deal doesn't work for you. Maybe the numbers aren't what you're looking for. Be very you can have your box, right? Know your numbers. But it doesn't mean that there's not hundreds of other people that don't want that deal. Because for us, we don't do any of the work ourselves, right? So we're outsourcing everything. So our numbers are more expensive. Everything that we do is going to be more expensive. Our marketing's more expensive. Everything is.
You guys are like me. You just want to buy the default notice list. See, I knew I was onto something. You guys just want to buy it too.
But maybe that person who is, they're going to move into it. They're the fixer-upper person. They're the one that's going to, doing that. That doesn't mean, so that's a good deal for that person because they're not having labor costs. They're doing it themselves, right? They're not having to do all the stuff that we do on a company level. So it's going to be, $50,000 cheaper. That's a good deal for them then. right? So just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean that the masses don't need to still see that property. Put it on a contract. Let's come up with a strategy that works for everyone. And I do say that if you book a call with us, like you go to our flippin.education and you actually go through the process of figuring that out and you book a private call with us, we will give you that seller finance calculator, because that changed the game for me. That seller finance calculator that Mitch was talking about, where you can push all 5 levers.
Yeah, I need to get that.
In the middle of like looking at deals, and you're just quickly, right? You're just looking at stuff. If you can, tweak those 5 things, and if one of them works and you push that lever, it's like, got the payment I need, bam, make the offer, right? Just get that payment where you need it, make the offer.
That's so
and you
good.
can do that on any deal.
You're saying that it basically, from a mindset perspective, Tony Robbins talks all the time about limiting beliefs. Like, I think that is one of the biggest struggles for people when it comes to investing. The limiting belief of, can I do this? Is it too risky? The limiting belief that the homeowner will actually finance it for you. Because even in my mind, where I'm at in life, I go, man, will people actually own or finance? And I've done it a couple times, but it still shocks me that people do it. Like, the fact that you got somebody to not do interest it's crazy to me. But you're right. It's like, you don't have what you don't ask for. And it's like, it's your limiting belief that you're personifying on everybody else. Stop doing that. If you believe it, then somebody will probably do it. You just got to bang enough doors down. And then the market will tell you if it's worth the effort. So you might as well try. Then it will tell you how hard it was. The market will respond to you and go, yeah, you were able to do it, but it took you 1,000 doors to do it. That's probably not time effective there. So maybe make the offer a little better, type idea. So I love it. So tell me about your course a little bit. Like, how can I find it? How can people listening to find it? And then what does that look like? Because I know you guys said you're doing a lot of coaching these days.
Yep. Yeah, we're doing a lot of coaching, a lot of educating. So just simply go to flippin.education. That's going to be a spot where you can book a call with me or Maeli. And we answer the phones. It's us directly. It's a Zoom call. Once you book that call, it'll prompt you to watch a 1-hour video that's going to kind of prep you for that call. As you can tell, like we run a very technical, like we get very into the strategy with this real estate stuff. So you're going to want to watch that video before you go to the call so you can keep up with the conversation. Yeah. But with that said, we train on everything from fix and flips to rentals to, right now what's really big is this sub 2 and seller finance strategy. We train on multifamilies and commercial real estate. Wholesaling, like we talked about, you have to have a strategy for every market condition. And so it's important for us to equip our students with, all the different strategies that they can go out and do. And I
would say too, everybody's not the same. Some strategies really work and resonate with certain people. And then we, start diving into stuff and they're like, whoa, like short-term rentals sounds absolutely horrible for me. Okay, cool. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. Right. Yeah. And that's the key, is like watching and really understanding who you are and what resonates with you and your end term goals, because that's what matters. Like, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years?
Love it. Great advice.
As you know, it's real estate investing is hard enough, right? It's a grind. Like, if you're going to get into this and you want to build wealth, it's something that you're going to have to work at and grind at. So you might as well pick a strategy that you actually enjoy doing. So you get a little bit of pleasure out of it.
Yeah, well said.
Awesome. So flippin.education is the site for your course. Before we close out, Maeli and Mitch, let people know how they can connect with you.
Yeah, so you can go to our Instagram account, which is just Mitch and Maeli, and you can go to our Facebook account. You can go to YouTube, which is obviously follow along. We give a ton of amazing advice, like similar stuff that we've done today, but we do go into a lot of detail on our YouTube channel. So that's just Flippin' with Mitch and Maeli. Yeah,
awesome. And of course, our website, which will take you to all those places, which is mitchandmaeli.com.
Cool. Awesome. And thank you all so much for listening. All of those links that were mentioned, you can get in one spot in the show notes over at staypaidpodcast.com. And while you're there, you can get the video of this episode. If you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, head on over to Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review. We will read it here on the show. And the best way to show your support is simply to share this episode with someone that you know. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. And of course, you can follow us on social media. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Guys, that was awesome. If you're in real estate, like, I feel like Maybe you're sitting here and you just need that little.
You're ready to run through a wall right now, aren't you?
Well, I'm just like, I just think you have such an advantage as a real estate agent. You have such an advantage. You know the market. You know the process of buying and selling homes. Like, you're there. Like, it's such a massive opportunity. And keep in mind, like, you don't have a retirement plan for real estate. And so this is an incredible opportunity. My action item, though, for you, whether you want to invest or not, which I think you should invest, but whether you want to invest or not, is that whole idea of going and finding these distressed sellers is brilliant for this market. You have a low inventory market right now. You need to find inventory. This could be a way for you to do it. It can be a way for you to find a deal. Going to the county and finding that notice of default. I mean, I know I'm going to call my brother after this and say, hey, have you ever done this? Get on the county's website, see how many there are. Let's get the intern to call them. And just call them, see what you get, see how many homes come out of it. That's the action item. Take an hour, 2 hours this week. Do that. The difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business. Top producers take action. Take action on that today.